welcome to another Sunday night edition of Accessibly Live as we bring down the music and we bring up the cameras and welcome everyone. Hope everyone's having a really good evening tonight. For those of you like myself in the upper tier of the U.S., the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Iowa, all getting socked with snow and cold and really crappy weather and driving. Hope everyone is staying safe and well and, have a good day, just sitting back, relax. This is Accessibly Live, the book club reading room, every single Sunday night live here on Twitch and YouTube. I hope everybody enjoyed Thursday night's special edition of Gulliver's Travels that we showed here on the channel. That is one of the special things about this channel. We do public domain movies and we do public domain books like we're going to do tonight. We'll do full spectrum books, short stories like tonight, and occasionally put a fun movie on. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had about 17 people stop in and watch the movie. Tell your friends, if anybody wants to watch the movie, tell them to stop by and say hello. We do normally hear books, public domain books, because there are stupid people out there that want to decide that they want to tell you guys what to listen to, what to read, and not give you the rights and ban and burn books. So this is a show that basically tells people to go stick it by reading public domain books, books that most people won't want you to read. We've read The Scarlet Letter here. We read a few weeks ago, reread Mark Twain's classic, Mysterious Stranger. And we have a lot more ahead in 2026, including, for the first time, we will be reading the very first Nancy Drew mystery here. So if you like your mysteries and you like classic mysteries, tune in first couple weeks in January when we're celebrating the 3rd anniversary of this show. A few other surprises along the way. Secret Garden will be coming up next year. Long books, I warn you, and if you want to read along, you certainly can. Tonight, we have something a little bit special. It's a short story written by O. Henry and is The Gift of the Magi. Now, this is not your atypical short story that we've always read on here. This one's a little more modern and takes place in the U.S., and it's one of those that is very different than what we've had here in the past. By the way, if you guys get a chance, and you get a chance to catch us for the first time, welcome. We appreciate everybody stopping in. Please don't forget, if you're stopping in for the first time, like and subscribe. It helps us out, helps the algorithm out quite a bit here on Twitch and YouTube. Just hit that like button and the thumbs up button and stop in once in a while and say hello. One way you can do that, by the way, is we have a new email finally. Joel K _OG at protonmail.com. We had a lot of problems with our previous email, and thankfully with Proton Mail, we are getting a lot better response. Thank you to everybody who wrote in. We appreciate it. Glad to have everyone stopping in. And like I said, tell your friends, tell your old school teachers that there's an old guy reading public domain books. It's going to be a lot of fun. But let's get started with this short story, The Gift of the Magi, by O. Henry. $1.87. That was all. And 60 cents of it was in pennies. Pennies saved 1 and 2 at the time by bulldozing the grocer and the vegetable man and the butcher until one's cheeks burned with the silent imputation of parsimony that such close dealings implied. 3 times Della counted it, $1.87. And the next day would be Christmas. There was clearly nothing to do but flop down on the shabby little couch and howl. So Della did, which instigates the moral reflection of life is made up of sobs, sniffles, and smiles, with sniffles predominating. While the mistress of the home is gradually subsiding around the first stage to the second, takes a look at the home. A furnished flat at $8 per week. It's not exactly beggar description, but it certainly had the word on the lookout for mediocrity squad. In the vestibule below was a letter box into which no letter would go, an electric button from which no mortal finger could coax a ring. And appearing hereunto was a card bearing the name Mr. James Dillingham Young. The Dillingham had been flung to the breeze during the former period of prosperity when its processor was being paid $30 per week. Now, when the income was shrunk to $20, though, they were thinking seriously of contracting to a modest, unassuming D. But whenever Mr. James Dillingham Young came home and reached his flat above, he was called Jim, and greatly hugged by Mrs. James Dillingham Young, already introduced to you as Della, which is all very good. Della finished her cry and attended to her cheeks with powdered rag. She stood by the window and looked out dully as a gray cat walking a gray fence in a gray backyard. Tomorrow would be Christmas Day, and she had only $1.87 in which to buy Jim a present. She had been saving every penny she could for months, with this result. $20 a week doesn't go far. Expenses have been greater than she'd calculated. They always are. Only $1.87 to buy a present for Jim. Her Jim. Many a happy hour she spent planning for something nice for him, something fine and rare and sterling, something just a little bit near to being worthy of the honor of being owned by Jim. There was a pier glass between the windows of the room. Perhaps you've seen a pier glass in an $8 flat. A very thin, very agile person may, in observing such reflection in a rapid sequence of longitudinal stripes, often a fairly accurate description of looks. Della, being slender, had mastered the art. Suddenly she whirled from the window and stood before the glass. Her eyes were shining brilliantly, but her face had lost its color within 20 seconds. Rapidly she pulled down her hair and let it fall to full length. Now there were 2 possessions of James Dillingham Young's in which they both took mighty pride. One was Jim's gold watch that had been his father's and his grandfather's. The other was Della's hair. She had the Queen of Sheba lived in the flat across the air draft. Della would have her hair hang out of the window some days to dry out to appreciate Her Majesty's jewels and gifts. Had King Solomon been the janitor, with all the treasures piled up in the basement, Jim would have pulled out his watch every time he passed, just to see him pluck at his beard of envy. So now Della's beautiful hair about her rippling and shining like a cascade of brown waters. It reached down to her knees and made itself almost a garment for her. Then she did it up again nervously and quickly. Once she had faltered for a minute and stood still, while a tear or two splashed on the worn red carpet. On went her old brown jacket. On went her old brown hat, with a whirl of skirts and a brilliant sparkle still in her eyes. She fluttered out of the door and down the stairs to the street, where she stopped at the sign read, Madame Safrina, hair goods of all kinds. One flight up, Della ran and collected herself, panting. Madame, large, too white, chilly, hardly looked like the Safrine. Will you buy my hair? Asked Della. I buy hair, said Madame. Take your hat off and let's have a sight at the looks of it. Down rippled the brown cascade. $20, said Madame, lifting the mass with a practiced hand. Give it to me quick, said Della. Oh, the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy fingers, forgot the hashed metaphor. She was ransacking the stores for Jim's present. She found it at last. It surely had been for Jim and no one else. There was no other like it in any other store, and she had turned all of them inside out. It was a platinum fob chain, simple and chaste in design, properly proclaiming its value by substance alone, and not by mysterious ornamentation, as all good things should. It was even worthy of the watch. As soon as she saw it, she knew that it must be Jim's. It was like him. Quietness and value. The description applied to both. $21 they took from her for it. She had hurried home with the 87 cents. With that chain on his watch, Jim might be properly anxious about the time in the company. Grand as the watch was, he sometimes looked at it on the sly on account of the old leather strap he used in place of a chain. When Della reached home, her intoxication gave way to a little prudence and reason. She got out her curling irons and lighted the gas and went to work repairing the ravages she made by generously adding to love. Which is always a tremendous task, dear friends. A mammoth task. Within 40 minutes, her head was covered with tiny, close-lying curls that made her look wonderfully like a truant schoolboy. She looked at her reflection in the mirror long, carefully, and critically. If Jim doesn't kill me, she said to herself, before he takes a second look at me, he'll say I look like Coney Island chorus girl. But what could I do? Oh, what could I do with $1.87? At 7 o'clock, the coffee was made, and the frying pan was back on the stove, hot and ready to cook the chops. Jim was never late. Della doubled the fob chain in her hand and sat in the corner of the table near the door, as he always entered. Then he heard his steps on the stairway down the first flight, and then she turned white for just a moment. She had a habit of saying a little silent prayer about the simplest everyday things, and now she whispered, Please God, make him think I'm still pretty. The door opened and Jim stepped in and closed it. He looked thin and very serious. Poor fellow, he was only 22, and to be burdened with a family. He needed a new overcoat, and he was without gloves. Jim stopped inside the door, was immovable as a setter and the scent of a quail. His eyes were fixed upon Della, and there was an expression in them that she could not read, and it terrified her. It was not anger, nor surprise, nor disapproval, nor horror, nor any of the sentiments that she was prepared for. He simply stared at her fixedly with that peculiar expression on his face. Della wriggled off the table and went to him. "Jim, darling," she cried, "don't look at me that way. I had my hair cut and sold off so I couldn't live through Christmas without giving you a present. It'll grow out again. You won't mind, will you? I just had to do it. My hair grows awfully fast. Say Merry Christmas, Jim, and let's be happy. You don't know what a beautiful gift I've got for you." "You cut off your hair?" asked Jim laboriously, as if not arrived at that patent fact yet, even at the hardest mental labor. "Cut it off and sold," said Della. "Don't you like me well, anyhow, I'm in me without my hair, ain't I?" Jim looked about the room curiously. "You say your hair is gone," he said with an air of almost idiocy. You needn't look for it," said Della. "It's sold, I tell you. Sold and gone, too. It's Christmas Eve, boy. Be good to me, for it went for you. Maybe the hairs of my head were numbered, but," she went on with a sudden serious sweetness, "but nobody could ever count my love for you. Shall I put on the chop, Jim?" Out of his trance, Jim seemed quickly to awake. He had folded his Della for 10 seconds. Let us regard with discreet scrutiny some inconsequential object of each other's direction. $8 a week or $1 million a year. What is the difference? A mathematician or a wit would give you the wrong answer. The Magi brought valuable gifts, but that was not among them. This dark assertion will not be eliminated later on. Jim drew a package from his overcoat pocket and threw it on the table. "Don't make any mistake, Della," he said, "about me. I don't think there's anything in the way of a haircut or a shave or a shampoo that could make me like my girl any less. But if you unwrap this package, you may see why you had me going at a while at first." White fingers and nimble tore at the string in the paper. Then there was an ecstatic scream of joy, and then, alas, a quick feminine change to hysterical tears and wails, necessitating the immediate employment of all the comforting powers of the lord of the flat. For there lay the combs, a set of combs, side and back, that Della had worshipped long in Broadway window. Beautiful combs, pure tortoise shell, with jeweled rims, just the shade to wear in the beautiful vanished hair. They were expensive combs, she knew. Her heart was simply craved and yearned over them without least hopes of possession. And now they were hers, but their tresses would be adorned with coveted adornments were gone. But she hugged them to her bosom, and at length she was able to look up with dim eyes and smile and say, "My hair goes fast so, Jim." And then Della leaped up a little like a singed cat and cried, "Oh, oh." Jim had not seen his present yet, but she held it out to him eagerly upon her open palm. The dull, precious metals seemed to flash with reflection of her bright, ardent spirit. "Isn't it dandy, Jim? I hunted all over town to find it. You'll have to look at the watch 100 times a day now. Give me your watch. I want to see how it looks on it." Instead of obeying, Jim tumbled down on the couch, put his hands under his back of his head, and smiled. "Della," he said, Let us put our Christmas presents away and keep them a while. They're too nice to use at the present. I sold the watch to get the money to buy your combs. And now suppose you put the chops on. The Magi, as you know, were wise men, wonderfully wise men, who brought gifts to the babe in the manger. They invented the art of giving Christmas presents. Being wise, their gifts were no doubt wise ones, possibly bearing the privilege of exchange in case of duplication. And here I have lamely related to you the uneventful chronicle of two foolish children in a flat who most unwisely sacrificed for each other the greatest treasure of their house. But in the last word to the wise of these days, let it be said that all who give gifts, these two were the wisest. Of all who give and receive gifts, such as they are wisest. Everywhere they are wisest. They are the Magi. I wanted to get something special for you guys tonight. Here in the U.S., they've got Black Friday going on, Black Friday weekend, Cyber Monday. For those of you watching, this is on Sunday. And I wanted to give you guys something to remind everybody that sometimes, it's not the amount of money. It's not the amount of what you spend on somebody's gift. If it comes from here and here, that's what makes a gift special. For my executive producer and I, we exchange gifts, but they aren't extravagant. They don't need to be. Love and caring are the greatest gifts that anybody could give to anybody. And with what's going on out there, with stupid people doing stupid things to people, when this used to be a country of caring for each other, maybe we need to remember that with the gift of the Magi. Remember, it's not the money for the gift. It's the thought and the kindness that is perceived to do this. We used to do this all the time for our grandparents, our parents. We would make gifts. And sometimes that was far more and far greater than spending $10, $20, $30, $40, $50. Sometimes it's just the gift. Something special. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys enjoyed the gift of the Magi. If you get a chance, don't forget, send me an email. Let me know where you guys are watching from. JoelK_OG@protonmail.com. Next week, we got something special. Couple nights, couple Sundays in a row. We've got a very special short story. It is a short story, but it takes quite a while to read, because we will be reading next week the legendary story, Rip Van Winkle. When sleep takes on a whole new meaning in a world. JoelK_OG, Comcast.com. Don't forget to, if you get a chance, please like and subscribe. Helps us out 110%. We're about ready to get out of here. it's a short show tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Accessibly Live, the book club reading room, every single Sunday night live here on Twitch, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and then uploaded to all the viewers and all you guys on YouTube. Welcome, bonjour, konnichiwa, hola, salut, howdy. Good to have you guys here. As we do with the Thursday night show, we do a final quote for the night. And this one, no one really knows who originally said it. But as I've said in the past, at this time of year, not a bad thing. A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking, because her trust is not on the branch, but on its wings. Always believe in yourself. A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking, because her trust is not on the branch, but on its own wings. Always believe in yourself. Always remember to believe. Sometimes a little bit of faith is a marvelous thing. And sometimes we need to remember that. And to believe in others too. There was an old TV show in the 90s. Maybe you guys have seen it in reruns. It's Babylon 5. One of the actors, Bill Mumy, as his character, posed a comment as a ranger. His quote was simple: faith manages. I'm going to let you guys go. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful week ahead. With those of you dealing with crazy weather and crazy traffic and crazy people on the roads, please be careful. Be well, be safe, be kind. We will see you all next week for the legendary Rip Van Winkle, here on Accessibly Live, the book club reading room. Take care, you guys.